Yes, more importantly, for healing where they struggle. Praying for those who are lost from their family, those who are in combat, those who lost others. We pray for this nation. We pray that you will understand who you are and how blessed we are. Thank you for the work you've done with our staff, those of our staff who are working in perilous places. Pray for our police and for our families. Yes, that you will be with them and stand by them. We also pray for each one's family and loved one, safe travel as they return home. These and all other blessings we ask.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilmember John DeWorkin.
Here.
Councilmember Lillian Fleming. Councilmember Ken Gibson.
Here.
Councilmember Will Brissington.
Here.
Councilmember Russell Stahl. Councilmember Dorothy Dow. Here. Mayor Knox White.
Here. You have the minutes count for April 22nd, 2024, which is sent through this business or objections. Seeing none, I shall proceed with the agenda. We have a tradition of allowing for public comment. I just want to make a comment about the public comment. You have a clock on the wall, there are 3-minute comments, and please observe the clock on the wall. With a number of folks signed up on a variety of topics, actually. And we'll start with Mr. Farmer. Joseph, please come in. You said you got the word to Camilla this weekend, so we're going to.
Thursday, the BZA met with 4 of the members in attendance. The chair was absent, the vice chair was late, and Mr. Patel was absent again. 4 local businessmen requested a drive-through for a coffee shop across from the University Center. With no public opposition and a 1.5-hour debate, they were denied. 2 months ago, a bank requested a drive-through on Verde. With no public opposition, they were denied. A hamburger restaurant requested a late-night drive-through exception, midnight to 5 a.m., on Woodruff Road in an old TGA Fridays location. That application, the requirement states, special exception permit shall be approved upon finding that the applicant demonstrates that all of the following were met. Standard B in the staff report. The existing building does not comply with the zoning district building setbacks and build to requirements. Statute says all must be met. The staff says they didn't meet it. This same applicant requested this same exception 8 months ago for a different location and was denied by the BZA. This application had public opposition to the request, and no board discussion during the meeting was held. It was just approved. This request did not meet all 4 criteria as required by the rules of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Now, we spent 18 months, hundreds of thousands of dollars, countless meetings, and decided we did not want late-night drive-throughs. If we've changed our minds, we need to change the development code. As we embark on our 1-year review of the code, we need to make clear to the BZA whether we do or do not want all-night drive-throughs. The BZA should not be picking winners and losers, and they should not be setting precedents that in the future others will come. There was a reason we decided we didn't want all-night drive-throughs. Now we've established that you can get one. How many other drive-throughs are going to apply for this? Mark my words, there will be more. They will be coming. Your job supervising the BZA is you need to let them know we have a code, and unless there is a demonstrated very specific need, they need to apply that code. Now, if we as a community decide we want to have all-night drive-throughs, let's change the ordinance. But it's got to be one way or the other. We can't have people getting it, people not getting it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bill, to note, tonight also we have a public hearing on the budget. We are having our first meeting on the city budget tonight. We've had multiple budget sessions, public budget sessions, where a number of issues were discussed always. And this culminates in our vote tonight at these previous meetings. Also tonight, the city manager, Shannon, will present the state of the city address, which is kind of a summary of the budget process as well as the priorities of the city council. I hope folks will stay around for that address because it's well thought out and it does give a to Z explanation as well of what the city of Greenville is all about. With that, back to our list of folks who signed up to speak. See if Ms. Buck. You give your address, whether or not you're the city of Greenville, a resident of the city of Greenville, please.
My name is Natalie Buck. My address is in the county at 14 Arlene Drive in Greenville. I'm representing Rebuild Upstate, which is at 601 Green Avenue within the city limits. Good evening. I'm Natalie Buck, and I'm here representing Rebuild Upstate. Thank you for allowing me to share about our nonprofit's mission. We exist to repair the homes of low-income homeowners, preserving affordable housing, and making homes safer, healthier, and more livable. 73% of the homeowners we serve are older adults above the age of 60. They hold the memories of their neighborhoods and have established relationships in their communities. These low-income homeowners often manage a tight budget and already struggle to afford their groceries, prescriptions, and utility bills. When the roof starts to leak or they need a ramp to leave their home safely, their limited income doesn't include room for home repairs and accessibility modifications. One of these homeowners is Miss Catherine. Nearly 30 years ago, she and her late husband were able to secure a Habitat for Humanity house in Greenville to raise their family. After Miss Catherine's husband passed away 7 years ago, her finances became tighter, preventing her from maintaining her home. One problem was that the framing around her windows was rotten, causing her energy bills to be high, and she couldn't afford to replace them. Miss Catherine said, "At one time, I was just gonna let the house go. I just got disgusted and didn't have the money to fix it the way I wanted. So I was about ready to dump it on the first person who came by and gave me an offer." This would have prevented Miss Catherine from preserving the equity she had in her home in Greenville. Where could she have found affordable housing? Rebuild Upstate was able to help her remain in her home by replacing the windows, in addition to flooring, siding, and handrails. Rebuild Upstate's work prevents the displacement of low-income homeowners. They're at risk of losing their home equity, doubling up with other family members, and eventually being homeless in some cases. We receive 10 to 15 calls each week from Greenville residents seeking assistance. 75% of the homeowners we serve have an annual household income, AMI, below 50%. For a person living alone in Greenville County, that's about $31,000. And the average household income of families served by Rebuild Upstate is less than $20,000 annually. With all of this in mind, Rebuild Upstate supports Goal's request that the City of Greenville invest $10 million annually for affordable housing, and to see 30% of those funds earmarked for homeowners making less than 30% of Greenville's area median income. Rebuild Upstate's work to preserve affordable housing that already exists in Greenville is one piece of the puzzle that Goal is encouraging City Council to address. Supporting affordable housing is essential for Greenville's low-income residents. This requires funds for nonprofits, including Rebuild Upstate and Habitat for Humanity. Thank you.
Hey, just for the record, thank you guys for what you do. For people who are here and people who are listening, how would someone get in touch with you guys if they needed the help that you provide?
On our website, at the top, it'll say how to apply. They can apply online through a form. They can also call our helpline, leave their voicemail, and then we can mail them an application because some of the folks we serve don't use the internet.
What's your phone number and what's your website?
Yeah.
Didn't mean to put you on spot.
Rosie has it.
Oh.
Yeah, the helpline is 864-643-5655. 5711, so you can call there. Our website is rebuildupstate.org.
Excellent. Thank you.
So you work with that community development.
Mhm.
Road 36 right here.
Mhm.
Thank, Mr. Bixby. Get your address, please.
I live in the county, Taylor's in the county. My name is Deacon Kenneth Bixby. Gethsemane Baptist Church is one of the 28 congregational members of Gold Justice. Our church is located less than a half mile from New Washington Heights off of Worley Road, an area that county mentioned as part of the annexation for the city. On March 31st, 2023, at First Baptist Church, with over 15 community members present, publicly 2 questions was asked to our city leaders. Question number 1, would you, our city leader, commit to identifying dedicated revenue stream that would generate upwards 10 million annual to use by the Greenville County Fund for the creation of preservation of affordable housing in our community? Question number 2, would you, our county leaders, commit to dedicating a third of those dollars to be used for those families at the greater need of 27,000 and below? Everyone agreed. Over 1,600 community members in attendance at this year's Nehemiah Action on April the 15th, 2024, had the hope that the same leaders who publicly committed to work on these issues would be present to give us an update on the progress delivering the solutions so that we can work towards doing work done could be celebrated. We truly thank Councilman Fleming for accepting our invitation to attend and willingness to answer both questions. For those of you that was in attendance, those 2 questions, those of you was not in attendance, those 2 questions was followed up to last year's question and was read as follows. Would you work to achieve goals and reaching the full $10 million in GIF by 2025 to 26 budget? Additionally, we would support the resolution stating that once the city reached the full 10 million in dedicated fund annually to the Greenville Housing Fund, the city established an audience assuring a third of the funding to be supported low-income earners in our community. Councilor Fleming answers absolutely to both questions. She mentioned that $12 million had actually been contributed to the next budget cycle. She said that the city is already doing housing project for family at 30% AMI and below. So this, even for clarity on the record, we are asking the city to continue a minimum of 10 million annual to the Greenville Housing Fund starting the budget cycle of 25-26. And once again, for clarity, since the city has committed to dedicated 12.1 million of funding this year budget cycle, and the council committing to establish an audience assuring. Thank you.
Just to agree, Councilmember Fleming, who was Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Greenville, did attend that meeting, and she did say yes to all of those. And that is absolutely reflected in the budget that we have spent the last 6 months working. Tonight, you'll see the budget. You'll also hear the state of the city. So am I correct, Councilman Fleming?
You are correct.
If they want clarity, I think that's clarity.
Yeah, and the other thing is, at the last time y'all had a meeting, I was sick. So everybody else attended the meeting, et cetera. So I made sure that I was there because it's our responsibility to represent. So I was representing, I was representing all of my colleagues here, et cetera, because I knew there were 5 or 6 different things that had to be done that night. So I made sure that I was there because I wanted you to know that we are very committed. In fact, the years I've been on council, over 40, 36 of those years, we had the best or the only home ownership program in the state of South Carolina, not just in the city. And now our city manager will give you a report of what is the status of the city. And in that report, you will see that one of our major focus, number 1, is what?
affordable housing. It has been. It is not new, et cetera. We want to be sure that people are not just picking us out because we never see anybody ask the other 5 cities or the county. So, work on all of them. It has been because we've lost a lot of wonderful people from the city of Greenville because they could not find places to live. And that is all over America because I travel an awful lot. But we want you to know that this is not new to us. This is not new to the city of Greenville. In fact, we've gotten great pull from our city manager to help us to rearrange things. And I'm not going to upload her speech because God, our city manager is a piece of wonderful work on affordable housing. And and not only that, but she is also, we have a commitment to trees. We have a commitment to fresh air. We have a basic economic development commitment to not only that, but to our Swamp Rabbit Trail and all of our parks and land. Open space is important for you to be healthy, not just living well, but healthy as well. So we have listened to all of the reports that have been given to us. In fact, since I've done more travel than the rest of them for council, we actually go places to look for the things that we want our citizens to have and to see if we're doing it okay or if we need to have a little help with it. So we make it a point to go and to see. That's why Unity Park looks the way it looks, because it's got 9 different things that each of us wanted in that park. Me, I wanted the pool with the little children. But anyway, so I want you to understand, it's not just something I was saying because I was there. It's because I work with all of the members of city council and our city manager and our attorney and our assistant city manager and all of our staff. They understand where we are with affordable housing. It's not just a pretty word, it's a life-changing. And we thank you for that statement and for recognizing that we were there. Thank you so much.
That gives a layer to it. However, again, at the end, and we're going to be voting on the budget and get a full presentation with the details,
Yeah.
specifics, which they're going to report out. Mr. Fowler?
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Steve Fowler, and I live on Loop Street. Long life resident of New Washington Heights. I would like to mention briefly about affordable housing and annexation. We have to understand that affordable housing is not the same as low-income housing.
That's right.
Low-income people cannot afford $400,000 house. I don't care if you put them in there, they're not going to stay. So we have to define that and not just throw money out there, because the money doesn't get to the low-income people. Now, in New Washington Heights, which is one of the oldest African-American communities, we did a master plan in 2013 asking the city and the county to develop 27 acres of land to include low-income housing. Plan approved by the city and the county. You know what's on that property today? A bus terminal. Totally moved us out of the way. After working with the community to do this, low-income housing, green space, as you mentioned, other things, community center. Now I heard about the greatness of Unity Park. Here comes your master plan. It's approved. You didn't do New Washington Heights. And I mean, the statistics are there. I have a copy of the master plan that we submitted in conjunction with Furman University. Approved. Do it. The land lay vacant since 1970. It would have benefited all the communities, not just New Washington Heights, Piney Mountain, all of these areas now that are being targeted for annexation. All of them. They're targeting Boulder Creek. You know what's going to happen with Boulder Creek? 500 residents are going to be displaced. Where are those 500 people going to go? They have to leave the city of Greenville. But we already know that. The statistics don't lie. So all I'm asking the city and members, before you make these decisions, meet with the people. Come talk to us at Happy Hearts Park. I give all of y'all a personal invitation. Come down there. Invite Poe Mills, San Susie, Piney Mountain, Brutontown. Come down there and stand kneecap to kneecap with those citizens who might lose their homes. They're not going to come down here. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Fowler. I do want to make a point, but you're talking about property that's not
In
Mm.
the city.
City of Greenville. There is no master plan by the city of Greenville in that property you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not in the city.
Yeah.
So please direct your attention to the county council and your county representatives, not this council.
Explain, what are you doing?
Space. Maybe you didn't know that. We do. We build freedoms. We do. And we build affordable housing. We have a number of places we do this. I don't know what you're counting.
Yeah, all I'm saying is the county and the city both got the master plan.
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Not approved master plan for county property.
I got a copy. I'll bring it to you next time. It's stamped by the city and the county.
It could not be in the city. It could not be done.
I'm telling you.
I'd like to see it. but-
I'll bring it next time. Y'all be here. I'll bring it.
But
Plan for
Okay.
county.
I will say this, sir. And I see Miss Jones here and she can hopefully attest to this. The property is in the county. The bus depot you're referring to is the new maintenance and operations facility for Greenlink that will allow us to expand service, to expand frequency to 30 minutes, to expand Saturday and Sunday. And in my view, and I just speak for myself, but I feel like council has repeatedly supported transit. But we have to come to the conversation here, particularly with affordable housing, that we also support transit. Now, that facility will open this summer. In 2020, during COVID, the New Washington Heights people were very upset about it. They were unaware of it, and that lays at the feet of the county council, sir. However, to the great credit of the city, our Greenlink director, James Keel, myself, and then Deputy City Manager Freeman went and met with the New Washington Heights community yes, ma'am, I was there, and at the community center during COVID, to explain what the facility was going to be. We've also hosted many public open houses about that facility. So we as a city very much support Greenlink. We have stood behind that maintenance and operations facility to do so.
You put a board up there with 50 things we wanted us to see. We did not approve those things. One of them was the gym. It's left out of your facility. The only people that agreed with you was the Washington High School Alumni Association, not part of the community.
Well,
They never lived in the community.
They're doing a great job advocating for open space for the community to use.
they've never-
Excuse me, I'm speaking, sir. And a piece of public art to honor the school as well as picnic facilities for the community to use. So we'll have to leave it there, but I appreciate you coming. But it is in the county.
I'm just letting you know, those people never lived in there and they still don't live in the community. Not one of them.
Still not in the city of Greenville.
Yeah.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you.
Ms. Jones, thank you. Lucia Smith.
Ms. Jones.
Yes, Joe.
Sorry.
She stood up.
She's ahead of you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Can you make it up here?
That's okay, because what, I was gonna say what
Okay, oh, you're in that neighborhood too.
That's correct.
Well, that is a thing. Hey, it's in the county now, we'll be happy to talk to you, and come to the city, we can actually talk about these things.
Yeah.
When is the next county?
Felicia Smith, so go ahead, Ms. Smith.
When is the next county meeting?
Thank you. Okay, yes, ma'am.
My name is Dr. Felicia Smith. I am here tonight as a member of Valley Brook Outreach Baptist Church and as a part of the Housing Committee for GOAL, Greenville Organized for Accountable Leadership. I stand in solidarity with many other organizations and individuals who are in support of passing the city's proposed budget that would allocate $12.1 million in the next budget cycle, with the caveat that 1/3 will be dedicated to those making less than $30,000. In the fall of 2023, over 700 people from GOAL's member congregations met in small house meetings to talk about what issues most affected their lives. The cost of housing was at the top of that list. People from all walks of life are affected. Teachers, police officers, firefighters, veterans, and so many more that work in and make Greenville the community that we all love. However, many are finding it impossible to afford to live in, that Greenville. For example, Taisha Bradley is a mother of 3, a full-time employee of DJJ, and she was a resident of 100 Shenwood Lane, located in District 2 inside the city of Greenville since February 2020. However, currently, she does not have a permanent residence because a couple of weeks ago, on April 24th, her apartment, 7H, along with everything that belonged to her family, was completely destroyed in an electrical fire. Despite the numerous name changes and rehabs, conditions for families are still not safe. Residents like Taisha Bradley feel stuck, not only because there is no availability for families like hers, but the conditions of the existing low-income housing units are only an afterthought. She feels stuck because as a lifelong resident of District 2, she has personally witnessed the systemic challenges faced by generations of poor families fighting to achieve what is called economic mobility with very limited success. If there was truly concern, leaders or representatives would not only be visible when the problems draw media attention or when it's time for re-election. Tonight, I ask that you all prioritize the solutions needed to create enough affordable housing units and take the appropriate steps to follow up on the maintenance of existing units. I also ask that 1/3 of funding be dedicated to those residents earning less than $30,000 a year so that families like Tanisha's have more options for safe and affordable housing. I urge all of you as council members, thank you.
Please stay around. Southern, yes.
I'm Kat Steller, and I'm a resident of the county. My office is in the city, and I work with Greenville Organized for Accountable Leadership with the Greenville Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. In our research to address affordable housing, we found that the national best practices to make a housing fund work is to make sure that it has a dedicated income stream and that it has an ordinance that's governing how that fund is allocated. The Greenville Housing Fund lacks both of those things, and so it is impotent. It is not successful like other housing funds that have been successful across our country. The questions that we have been asking you this evening is not how much money is in the upcoming budget. We do support the upcoming budget that has $1 million dedicated to affordable housing. But the question is not only about affordable housing, as other speakers have said tonight, the question is about low-income housing. So our two questions to you are, do you support finding $10 million of dedicated revenue annually to go to the Greenville Housing Fund for the sake of affordable and low-income housing? And secondly, do you support establishing an ordinance once that $10 million annually has been reached that will protect and identify a third of those funds to go to those making 30% of the area median income and below? Those are our two questions, not how much is in the budget and not where you plan on putting it this year. That's all.
We have members of the housing fund here. We do have a housing fund. I think you might want to start by talking to members of the housing fund on what they think they need to do their job, number one. Number two, we do have a lot of partners to work with. We have Homes of Hope and Genesis Homes. We have different organizations with different emphasis. We all are coordinated, however. We don't just let it go like that, but all coordinated. And some of them in particular do focus on the 30%, including our community development department. So I'm not so sure that the way you described it is actually the best approach to discussions about that.
Every single one of those entities that you've named that we have met with said that they cannot reach the people at 30% and below because it is too costly. So we are here as a faith-based organization to give you all the moral impetus to do what is hard and what seems impossible, and that's to reach those that are the least of these that need the most help.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. Ma'am, I do have a question. Have you addressed the other municipalities with this same
So we are, of course, working.
passion?
We are, yeah, absolutely. Believe me, we're not short on passion. We are working with the Greenville County Council very closely. They definitely showed up and answered our questions at the Nehemiah Action and have been in much constant communication. In addition to that, through the county, we are seeking to establish a relationship with the other 5 ordinances that are in the county to get them on board. We recognize that the problem that has started in the city is going to start showing up in those other municipalities. Their 5 budgets combined are $140 million. I'm not sure because I haven't looked that closely at the budget yet this year, but I'm guessing Greenville Cities is bigger than that, and we are getting there. But right now, you all have the start of the problem because this is where the start of the transformation in our community came from. You guys have always mentioned that you're willing to lead the way. That is what we're asking for.
Point that Calvin Trust was pointing to, kind of like we're working, but the 30. That's a lot of work to be done with $30 million.
Mr. Mayor, I have a follow-up question to Councilmember DeWorkins. What conversations have you had with our state delegation in terms of liberating more funding to assist with the lower income housing tax credits, which are essential to making projects work financially to address that deepest level of affordability?
So Mayor White mentioned at the beginning that we should talk to the Greenville Housing Fund to find out what they need. And it was a report from the collaboration of the Greenville Housing Fund and the Greenville County Redevelopment Authority that identified that we needed $20 million annually each year. It was also those funds that let us know that we cannot rely on state or federal funding to address this local problem. In the same way that you all have been dealing with transportation, because it used to be something that was subsidized heavily by federal funds, it is no longer being subsidized heavily by federal funds. It is a local issue, and affordable, low-income housing is also a local issue that demands local solutions.
So my question, let me see if I can phrase it better. We recognize that in order for them to come to fruition, we need land and we need a financial package that works. So in the absence of the tax credits, you're suggesting just pay outright.
We are,
Or are you supportive of low-income housing tax credits?
we absolutely, LIHTC is definitely one of the.
Okay, and you're aware of how we get them.
That is one of the predominant avenues to address
Great,
some
and
of
you're
these
aware of the
problems.
limitations on that.
One of many avenues, and we are happy to continue in conversations and learning and changing and addressing this problem together. Tonight is not the place to do that. If you would work with us in goal, we have 1,600 plus people in our community who can help solve this problem.
I'd welcome the conversations that you have because we've been having them too.
And, you know, if you can help move the needle with that pot of money, all the better.
Yep.
All the better. We certainly have spent a good bit of time.
So back to our questions.
May I finish? We've spent a good bit of time working with our state delegation. I understand your questions. We've heard them.
Dedicated
And we continue to work on those things.
30% dedicated to 30% below.
What I'm advocating for is look at it at a macro level, at all the pieces that go into the puzzle. You are asking for us to pass an ordinance, restrict spending of an item going forward to below 30%. Is that correct? You want an
Are you
ordinance?
suggesting that 30% of the funds in the Greenville Housing Fund don't need to go to those at the lowest income levels?
I'm asking you, is the question of city council to pass an ordinance that 30% of the revenue towards affordable housing go to those serving 30% AMI and less?
Yes.
It's the question that I heard.
Yes.
All right, and are we permitted to do that?
Yes.
Well, I'm asking the mayor, if you don't mind.
Well, I know the answer, so.
Are we permitted by law to restrict future councils to spending in that way?
Under second law, you can't do that. Can't do
Okay,
that.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Can't do that.
Which community, you said that, the other communities, what communities are you looking at that have those two things? No, and I'm not talking about-
Let's say Raleigh, Raleigh-Durham.
Probably Durham they have an ordinance or whatever.
Yes.
Get a copy of the ordinance.
100%. Like I said, we welcome this partnership. That is truly what we're asking for, is to embrace our moral imperative for us to take care of the people who are not being taken care of. I'm not talking about those people taking 80%. That is tough. That is a struggle. But if we can relieve the lowest levels of our community, everyone will benefit. And that is what helps us here.
Just to be clear, no, I'm confident that our allotment of funding will meet that 30% goal as well. Now, where we disagree is about whether the housing fund itself as a single vehicle is where all of that money should be concentrated. Knowing what I know about their work plan and where they are in their work plan, I don't think that's a good strategy anyway. That's my opinion. It's not where I would put all my eggs in that basket. They play the major role, but they don't play the only role. They have a lot to do. They do have to cover the 60% and the above. They're not focused exclusively on 30%, but others are, and collectively, out of the funds appropriated, 30% will be an achievable goal in my view.
To that point, we have a number of different strategies that we use within the city in order to try and get the affordable housing. We have the housing fund, but the housing fund is where our housing fund is set up and what its mission is not conducive to hitting all of the different things that we want to hit. So we also have a fund within ourselves that we are creating so that we can buy land for affordable housing and then work with developers to do that. We work with the housing fund. And quite frankly, if you want to get to that 30% level, the only way to get to that 30% level is through the housing fund. Because then you get to tap into federal funds.
Right.
We can create vouchers, which can allow developers to reach that thing. So the idea that we can just say, okay, we're going to go to a housing fund, we're going to housing fund do this, that's not the most efficient way. But if you're asking us, if you're asking me, if I am committed to affordable housing, and I'm committed to trying to find a way to spend $10 million a year and to focus and prioritize those who are at the lowest levels of AMI, then I am with you 100%. But what I'm trying to tell you is this. Our housing fund is not the best vehicle to reach that 30%.
Yes.
Only in the
No, it
we
is not.
can partner with the housing authority to do certain things.
Housing.
But our housing fund is not set up to be the best vehicle to do that. And I'm telling you, I've been looking at this issue ever since I've been on council. There's not some, there's not some issue that I'm just like, sort of like, oh, let me fly by night and go to a couple of affordable housing meetings and say, oh, this is the way. I'm telling you, I've worked through every avenue of this, and when we start developing properties, when we start talking about trying to reach that number, our housing fund is not our absolute best way to pursue it.
And the other thing is, the city has been working on the Raleigh-Durham plan. We've looked at it for the last 12 years. We've been there 2 or 3 times to look at how they do it. Some laws they have in North Carolina won't work in South Carolina because of our legislators and the way it's structured. We need a comprehensive, and it's not to disagree, it is that you can't tell one entity that this is what we want y'all to do. Suppose we came up with a plan to borrow 60 or 70 million dollars rather than the 10. You know, the idea is it can't just take one way, and we've been looking at it for so long, there's a whole lot of ways. And we agree that we have got to go below. In fact, we have one entity that's 20% AMI, and the housing fund tries to work 20% because we have a large pocket of very poor people. They can't even reach the 30%. We have, and a lot of them in my district, so I understand that. So always saying it's a great idea. I don't know whether anybody will commit to all of the things that you asked because we can't work the same way you work. And the other thing is Raleigh-Durham plan, we've looked at it. There's some parts of it just will not fit South Carolina and our abilities. So we've been trying to work around that. That's why some legislation has come out recently that's
So,
great. And thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to be clear that we welcome these conversations. We welcome and recognize that there is no end to the creativity that we can utilize in order to address this problem and recognize that it is a moral imperative. Things cannot stay the way they are, and we fix the problem for those who are the least of these. So we appreciate.
Exactly.
Somewhat, I'm preaching to the choir because while no one out here and no one in goal would ever try to suggest that Greenville City has not made affordable housing its priority, we all fully recognize that and we appreciate that. It is not just about affordable housing though. It is low income housing. I'm a real estate agent. I have helped my clients get into affordable housing units that are between 80 and 100% AMI. That is not helping that single mom who has 3 kids replace all of her burned belongings.
With that said, if you want to partner with us.
We're trying.
What that means is you guys have to come to the table. I'm talking to all of them.
We're trying.
If you want to partner with us, you have to come to the table with
When we're meeting.
how we get to the point where we need to get to.
That's right.
You can't come here and say, okay, you guys have to do it this way. Because that's not the best way for our community. Now, I can, like I told you, I am absolutely committed. I know this council is committed. I know this city is committed to affordable housing. It is one of the
Low income housing.
We have 3 of them. It's one of the 3. We have done everything that we can since I've been on council to try to find money and find ways to make more and more affordable housing within the city. But I'm telling you, the limitations that you're trying to put on us with your 2 questions today would not make us more effective in creating affordable housing.
Right.
Dedicated annual revenue to fund would not make us more effective?
If you want to partner with us,
Or are we going to have this fight every year at budget time?
I don't think we're having a fight.
Amen.
I mean,
We're not having a fight.
seems to be having a fight, but I'm not happy.
Well,
I'm fighting for the least of these, and I haven't heard anything that says below 30% yet.
So, I mean, I can tell you right now.
no, you did. You did hear it. I said that. The money that we are appropriating, it will reach the 30% goal. That I am confident of. It will.
Oh, because
It
we,
will, and
anything on.
it will reach the 30%. Let me make one final comment. I talked to some folks with girls. I've met with girls about 4 times, different executive committees and such, and I've always said this. I think we about affordable housing, workforce housing, for a lot of different neighborhoods, and we have to address, we're the city, we have to address all those needs. School teachers, all the at different levels of economic income. But for goals, the group, absolutely, you should be focused on the Lord. I mean, that's it. It would kind of bother me, frankly, if you came here and said, "Oh, I think you need to have affordable housing for people making incomes of, $100,000." That would bother me. But we love that as we address the whole. And by the way, these things are kind of fungible. So when you have more housing for some people, it helps open up housing for others. But anyway, so that's very important. I want to give Bill credit for one really important, which was I went before the group and the council members did a year ago, and I said yes. It was because of the phrase explore alternative and different revenue streams. That to me, that's why I jumped on. That makes a lot of sense. We've done that. We looked at the general fund and we had community development budget. So that really caused a process underway the last several months to look at other revenue streams, and we found them. We found them, and we have certain fee and lieu's in our budget. That's developments that don't pay a regular tax; they pay a fee, so they get a decrease. And oftentimes those are related to affordable housing. So we've taken those funds, now designating them for affordable housing that hasn't been done before. All these things collectively are meant to help developers achieve affordability in their projects, because everything counts with construction costs being there. That's the reality. So all of these things are very helpful, and they've allowed us to have more funding designated for affordable housing to make these projects that come to us all the time work. And that includes housing at the lowest level. In fact, some of those houses, that housing particularly needs it because everything counts there. And if they have to pay impact fees, if they have to pay money for landscaping and requirements, all of that matters in every project, but especially is important when you're dealing with really low income. It's extremely critical then. And then you can add the vouchers to it and that kind of thing. So that's how we achieve it. But that's a kind of deep thing. So, that's been a very positive process, and that really has got us where we are today, because our city manager dug even deeper than I had done to try to find other places where you can make a good argument this money could be set aside for affordable housing. And we're going to kind of work it from there. And that's how we get our 20 million and even more, actually.
Thank you all for your time, and we look forward to continued conversations.
Thank you.
Ms. Schomburg, are you here? Holly? Holly? Douglas Schomburg? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
They're going to come necessary.
Somebody has a lot of experience with this. Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Holly Schomburg, 101 Kenwood Lane. I'm in the city limits.
And District 1, I want to add too. Thank you, Holly.
And I don't know if this is relevant or not. It's a semantic succession, I think, I'll get back to that if I get through all this. I'm an affordable housing developer. I work all over the state. I work in the city of Greenville. I just have the good fortune of living here as well. And I wanted to come here tonight and say that I commend the city for taking what I perceive as a very proactive stance in addressing the attainable housing issue we have in this state. I'm using the word attainable because that's what the term has become lately in my industry for people not being able to get into quality, safe, decent housing. That's actually what the South Carolina Home Builders Association used as a moniker for their conference last week. So we all know it's a huge issue, but I'm working in a lot of cities all over the state, and I can say firsthand that Greenville is further ahead on this than any other city in the state, and that includes Charleston. And this is very much because they put their money where their mouth is. By dedicating city budget funds to affordable housing, the city's been able to leverage private resources, have private developers like myself come in, and federal resources to preserve existing housing and develop new units much, much more quickly than if you had not made this commitment. Instead of just working with the word affordable housing in your comp plan, as we see so many cities do, Greenville has put forth actionable plans with realistic goals. It has also been nimble and responsive when working with the private sector. I do want to note that the housing fund, while not only focused on very low income, our project that we're developing in the Riley has 20%, 30%, and 50% units. And but for the housing fund's resources in that deal, it would be dead. 100%. Deals died all over the state last year. Greenville preserved every single project that was going on in the city. And that didn't happen in cities that have the same resources, but not the same motivation. I don't see another city here doing it better than Greenville's doing. And I think that the strong outcomes are because of strong leadership and because housing is prioritized. It's a complicated issue. It's difficult, but you have to have these funds come in as leverage. They can't solve the problem on their own. They have to work in concert with tax credits. The project I'm building is 88 units. It's $28 million. The city put in $2 million to get a $28 million deal over the line. That's how that works. So just visiting the deal again, we've got units at $230 to $1,200, and that band is what's necessary to make these things financially viable. So I appreciate what you're doing and I support what you're doing.
Mr. Mayor, can I weigh in on that while Holly's here? Um, listen, I just think it's remarkable that 1,600 people, 1,400 last year, come together in support of affordable housing. We're all supporting affordable housing. I want to slow down on Holly for a minute for your awareness because you were talking about working together. Holly's probably this, some might take exception, but one of the smartest people I've ever listened to and talking to how these things pencil out. They are developing the Riley at Overbrook in your district, to his district. It's split that Lowndes Hill divides it in an area where there was a large part of NIMBYism on that project. And I'm going to assume y'all know what NIMBY stands for. The mayor, the CEO of the Greenville Housing Fund, myself, Holly, and Drew, as the developers, met with our state legislator to make the case for why we needed the LIHTC credits to be taken off pause. That was a constructive meeting. Holly prepared talking points for that state representative to the committee to get the brakes off of LIHTC credits. That was a productive meeting and discussion and a dialogue. And then subsequently, Greenville was awarded the low-income tax credits that allowed us to bring forward the Riley at Overbrook, which you can drive on 35 and see. I see you shaking your head, but go drive by, you'll see it. It's there. I promise.
It's going to be beautiful.
It's going to be beautiful, and it's going to have deep affordability. And this council
And Gateway at the Green.
and I'm getting to. Oh wait, we're not there yet, Holly.
It's not even mine.
Please go by and look at Riley at Overbrook. Furthermore, Gateway at the Green, which we just broke ground on, deep levels of affordability coming to fruition right in the backyard of Haywood Mall. Those productive conversations, we could solve problems together. It's not a yes/no answer. It's a productive conversation on how to move projects forward. A yes and a no is a yes and a no. I'm very interested in discussions on how we can solve the problem. And I think everyone on council welcomes that. And many of us have been in those productive conversations with smaller groups of goal people. And we invited last year goal representatives to our retreat where priorities are set, to our budget work sessions, which have come and gone. And here we are the first time y'all are here. And I hate that you missed those meetings where we really got down and talked about what our priorities were. Affordable housing was at the top of the heap. With the budget work sessions, we talked about how to fund things. And I'm sorry you're shaking your head. Maybe you were streaming it. But everybody was invited, and we encourage you to engage in those conversations. But I can't say enough about Holly as a problem solver, about this council as problem solvers, about our state representative who went to the mat in a very unfriendly to affordable housing setting and went to the mat for us. And we now have those two projects and more moving forward.
And there's a cap. There's a cap on the unit. So in terms of
the cap
what we were talking about earlier, I think it's really critical. I don't see how the city could do this single-handedly. And then for affordable, the semantics piece of it, 'cause I think it's relevant, is that for our industry, and this is a definition, it's 30 to 50 is very low income, 60 to 80 is affordable, 80 to 120 is workforce. So if we're going to get into the weeds, that's the definition of it. And then 20 to 30 is supportive housing, which we have in the Riley, and I believe Gateway has as well.
Yeah.
But that's for that to pencil and for you to build a quality project that's going to live for 40, 50 years, you have to be able to leverage private resources and federal resources. I don't see how the city builds those on their own. I don't think that you can do that on your own.
Not and have the same impact of
Well, and
number
we
of
can't do it
units.
without the city. So it's a very symbiotic thing. So I support it and I'm appreciative. Thanks to be working here.
Well, thank you. Appreciate your work. The trenches where these things actually get done. Monroe Free, you're signed up, I see.
Monroe Free, I live in Greer, South Carolina, but do a lot of work around Greenville with Habitat for Humanity. And I come after spending the day in Columbia trying to figure out how to help the state commit more funds to affordable housing, and grateful that this is a much easier conversation. and grateful that you have expressed your commitment again to affordable housing with real budget numbers. I'm also aware that all of us are in the business of dividing up shortages. You are too, trying to figure out where the money needs to go that will affect the most good for the most people. And I appreciate the priority you've given to affordable housing. I want to say that it's in places where it has worked, there's some common themes. And cities, Raleigh-Durham area being one of those. It's not just that government entities have committed monies, but churches have committed real dollars. Businesses have committed real dollars. Corporations have committed real dollars. Nobody has enough by ourselves. Nonprofits commit dollars. None of us by ourselves have enough money. If we can make a collective pot of money that is dedicated to affordable housing, we will begin to make the kind of impact that all of us dream about. And that's the, you and I have talked before in one of the meetings that Dorothy, you talked about where we are making a difference. Gosh, it never moves fast enough. But if we can collectively work together, if we can pool our resources, it'll move a little faster. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we do. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank Monroe and all you do. And I think you hit on something that's really important to me. And whatever we do, whether it's affordable housing or if it's rails and trails or if it's infrastructure and economic development, it is a collaboration. Great things can only occur with great collaboration, and you are a great collaborator and really appreciate all you do and those comments as well. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Can I put in one more shameless plug? I want to put in shameless. We have a very passionate representative in the House named Representative Wendell Jones, who had a very good bill proposed to the House for consideration this year. I think it's 4544. I think it's 4544. And it would allow churches to use their property to develop affordable housing and not be taxed on that in the aftermath. A win-win. If a church owns property right now, they're not paying taxes on it now, property taxes on it now. If they build affordable units on it with partners like the Housing Fund, private entities, church members, they still shouldn't be taxed on it if it's rented or owned at an affordable rate. If I had one ask of goal, and I've talked to Representative Jones in the last week, it did not get out of committee this year in the state session. I asked Representative Jones if he'd be bringing it forward next session, and he said by all means he will be. And if advocacy is the one thing where you want to be passionate, advocating to the state to take that bill on and to pass it would be helpful. My church has land, they can build affordable on it if they so choose and not be taxed on it once that bill gets passed. If you're more of a roll up your sleeves, work on things, Rebuild Upstate. Isn't Rebuild Upstate, when they work on homes, many of their volunteer teams are formed in churches. I know my church has, same with Habitat House, and I imagine all of these churches has. There are so many ways to get involved to help us all collectively solve it. But that bill, I would like you to take note. You can follow Wendell Jones, see it, and I do expect him fully to be bringing it forward to the state delegation next year and file it as a bill.
There's a lot of tools in the toolbox that we have uncovered, but there's a lot of other ideas out there for more tools in the toolbox, and that's one of them, but it should be out there. Sylvia Palmer, and we have two other folks after Sylvia. Is she here still? You are still here. Okay, hi.
Good evening. For those who don't know me, I'm Sylvia Palmer. I live at 5 Roosevelt Avenue in the city. I am a lifelong resident of Greenville City, approximately 78 years. I've been an advocate for affordable housing from 2010 until now. My beginning work started with Genesis Homes, the nonprofit agent that has been wonderful at building truly affordable homes for those people who need them. I also was fortunate enough to serve on the Greenville 2040 committee that was able to come up with the 4 areas of which affordable housing is one to bring to the city, and you guys approved it, and that's why we're here today. But I have a serious concern about AMI, or for those who don't know, the average median income, because it seems like it's a goal that keeps changing for those people who need it the most. And it's being done by the number of new people who are coming to Greenville who have a lot more money than those of us who are native Greenvillians. And it's causing that AMI percentage to go up and up and up. Now, people who really need to have this help are all the categories of public service workers making low wages. And I emphasize all because that goes down to the restaurant workers as well as the maids in the hotels. And because of the AMI changing so much, that is what's making it difficult for them to achieve their dream. And the AMI should be looked at between the 20% and the 50% AMI level so that these people will not find it so difficult to find affordable housing in the city or in the county. I commend the Greenville Housing Fund and the City of Greenville, mainly the City Council, for all of the accomplishments that you have done so far. And we all understand that money is what all of us need to make this dream work. So we appreciate the continued funding to this project. We are in agreement with adding more from your budget to help with this problem. And I want to commend you for the historic effort that you have been doing thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. Tiffany? Tiffany? Yep, I'm sorry. Cynthia, out here.
Good evening. First of all, I'm very happy to be speaking to our esteemed council and mayor and obviously the staff and all the guests. It's exciting to me we have so many people who focused on affordable housing and the importance of it. And I just want to say with profound gratitude and admiration, I stand before you to express heartfelt thanks on behalf of the Greenville Housing Fund and the countless individuals and families whose lives have been profoundly and personally transformed by your unwavering commitment. Your commitment to provide affordable, stable, and safe housing has been remarkable and honestly life-changing to so many people, and we are deeply appreciative for it. The City of Greenville's historic support for affordable housing has been instrumental in transforming our community. Your generous contribution of over $35 million has been amazing and helped contribute to 1,558 homes. And to add that, 10% of those have gone to 30% or below. So I think it's important for you to understand that. And also, you've really paved the way for innovative programs to not only help the affordable housing, but also help the residents in those housing. So it's so important. And you continue to demonstrate your commitment by the current $3.2 million of investment this upcoming budget. Your commitment is a beacon of hope for our community and really for the state overall. This commitment will further our efforts to address our city's needs for affordable housing and ensure individuals and families can access quality, affordable housing, or really housing options. But you know what? Your support, it's far more than the numbers and the statistics. It's really a deep-rooted symbolization of your belief of the importance of community, compassion, and equality. It sends a powerful message to everyone in Greenville that you believe this is a place that everybody can call home. As we look at the future, we are filled with boundless optimism and hope, knowing that our partner, the City of Greenville, who shares our vision for the community where every single person has an opportunity to thrive. Your support inspires us to continue to work with renewed vigor and determination, knowing that together we can make a profound and lasting difference in the lives of those we serve. Again, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to the City of Greenville for your historic support, your generosity, and compassion to the many lives. Together, we can build a future where everyone has access to safe, stable, and affordable housing. Thank you.
Mr. Matt Good, well, you're the last one to sign up.
You can wrap us up. Matt Good, I live in the city, Parkins Mill Road. I am here representing the board of the Greenville Housing Fund. I was on the study committee in 2017, like many of you in the room, and joined the board a couple of years later. And just for the people in the room, the Greenville Housing Fund, we were started, I'll call it the seed money, came from the city, and they're our primary funder, but we have contributions. We have many millions of dollars coming from the county. We have a number of foundations, Hollingsworth being the biggest locally, that have supported us. We raised $4 million in social impact funds from individuals who wrote checks. And so we have a lot of money coming from a lot of different places, with the city being our primary source. So just so everybody is aware of that. And we serve 20% to 80% AMI. That's our stated mission. And I want to say thanks for the money. It's been, we started with not much of anything, if anything, and now we're going to be, I don't know what the appropriation is this year, somewhere north of $3 million. That doesn't include land that you've granted to us. And that's really the other reason I'm here to say thank you. It doesn't include the staff that you've dedicated to us. We meet once a month. We have a board meeting. We have a dedicated board of 11 members. And at that board meeting, Shannon or Megan or Patricia or Karen are always there. One of them or several of them are always there. In between those board meetings, we're hearing from Shannon and her staff, council members, and we appreciate that. I mean, we know that you care, and it's not just about writing a check, although that's a big piece of it. That's what pays for things. But we appreciate your time and your never-ending energy. The emails. I mean, I get the emails from many of you, and affordable housing is always right there at the top. And this nights like tonight are why I love this community. I mean, we get together, we have a problem, we try to sit down and talk through it and figure it out. Affordable housing is a big issue. I was talking with Monroe before the meeting. Doing transactions now are really hard. Costs are through the roof, rates are through the roof. It's just really hard to do deals, to build new units, to buy new units. But we're doing it. We're getting it done in this community. And I just want to say thank you for the money. Thank you for the time. Thank you for Shannon and her staff. And we appreciate all you've done. And really, we are on the right trajectory to get to where we need to be. Go Greenville. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, thank everybody for the robust discussion tonight. We appreciate it. We have a lot of people have sent notes that they need a bathroom break. So as presiding officer, I'll recognize that. We'll discuss how we're going to proceed in terms of the time on state of the city address and such with the city manager, but we also get to a public hearing on the budget, and we have the first reading on the city budget tonight, which does indeed include a record amount of funding for affordable housing. With that, we'll take a brief five-minute break and be back in just a minute. Council members, the view of the time. In view of the time, the city manager is asked to deliver the State of the City address, which is pretty comprehensive, A to Z, on every issue, at the next city council meeting in 2 weeks. So I'll
Next week.
Is next week? Okay. I'll defer to you on that. So we'll move ahead with the budget, which is a good thing to do, the public hearing for the budget and remarks on the budget from the city manager at this time. So that's where we shall start.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Happy to present to you my first budget as city manager this year, and I'd like to thank Patricia for her work and Christina Junker for her work on the budget for this year. We will be delivering the State of the City, but and because of the time, it is a 41-page speech. So I'm saving you all for being here.
That's right, 45 pages there.
Let's go first. And so, because it is comprehensive, and I will not short it because it deserves the time that my staff and I put into making it happen. And so before we go on to the budget public hearing, what's really something that I wanted to have an opportunity to do tonight is to thank the staff of the City of Greenville for the work that they do. And my entire senior leadership team was here to support me tonight for State of the City. Thank you.
Shannon, I think you should probably note that you wouldn't let him sit in the back this time.
No. Sad thing is now, I hope they'll all be here next week. But I would just say that the work that I do every day at the City of Greenville could not be done without them. They are the best staff, and who else would be here to support me tonight other than every single one of the senior leadership team? And also, please don't forget Brandon and Megan. They both like to keep their heads down over here. They do not like to be called out. But we do this work every day. Last week was Public Service Recognition Week. Not sure if a lot of people knew that, but it was. For those of us who've made this life a calling, that means something to us. And I appreciate all the work that you all do for me each and every day. And I would hope that we would all remember that there's a reason why we come and stand here every day and do this, because we're committed. We are committed. We are committed to the work. I have been doing this for 25 years. And this is something that we work on every day, and we are at the front lines of each one of these issues. And so thank you for recognizing my staff and the teams. And I commit to the senior leadership team that I will continue to do my best for you and your teams. And with that, let's move into the budget public hearing. We have had a great budget cycle. I really appreciate the way that Patricia and Christina have worked with us to be able to present a budget that people can read, that's legible, that's transparent, that's understandable, and that has been out there for everyone to take a look at. You know, one of the things that I really pride ourselves on is that budget is a budget that allows people to know exactly where our policy priorities are. We're not hiding anything anywhere. We're not trying to put things under different numbers or different categories. It's all out there in the open for everyone to see. And I really appreciate that you all allow for us to do that type of work and that we can have that type of budget process. And so that is why we're here tonight. We are ahead of budget season. We don't have to have this thing adopted until June 30, but we're moving forward. And so, because it was really important to us that there be plenty of time in the process for you all to ask questions, for you all to be able to absorb all of the information that we put in front of you, for the public to know what we are doing, so that the public is aware of all of the policy decisions that we are making with the budget. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Patricia to kind of give you just a few remarks before we have our budget public hearing. And then we'd like to move into our first vote on the budget for 2020, FY 2024-25. We haven't gotten to 25-26 yet. We're still on 24-25, and that's what we're working on tonight. So, thank you, Tricia.
Thank you, Shannon. So yes, it's been Shannon and my, first time through this process. So it's been exciting and, grateful for the long-term staff that, has definitely supported. Karen and Christina have been a huge asset during this process. But Mayor and Council, if you agree, I recommend we open the public hearing for the proposed FY25 budget in accordance with Section 6-1-80 of the South Carolina Code of Law, so that the public has an opportunity to provide comments prior to adoption of the FY25 budget. So I don't know if there's anyone here that would like to speak on the budget, or it's news to me. So I'll just go through the process, and then maybe if you would go back one. Thanks. So just as a reminder, please note that the proposed budget was noticed in the Greenville News on April 28th, and the FY25 budget materials have and will continue to be available on our website under the financial publications. Next slide. So as a reminder, here's where we are on the overall budget timeline. To date, we have held 2 budget workshops with council and are targeting adoption of the FY25 budget on May 20th, with the budget becoming effective July 1, 2024. As you know, the FY25 operating capital budgets are centered on City Council's priorities. We've heard a lot about neighborhoods and affordable housing tonight, as well as economic. The other priorities are economic development, recreation, open space and sustainability, mobility and transportation, and then public safety and engagement as well. As previously discussed, the FY25 budget is designed to support city staff in achieving council's priorities. This includes allocating appropriate resources to critical areas, managing ongoing capital projects efficiently, and ensuring the effective delivery of services to our community. I'd like to highlight that this budget does not propose an increase to millage or to business license tax fees. Next, the FY25 summary, FY25 budget summary of all funds. Please note that the only changes from workshop 2 relate to the Community Development Fund, Home Program, and HOPWA program, as we recently received our HUD apportionment letter. The overall result was a net decrease of roughly 34,000, so not a significant change to the total FY25 budget. Next slide, Megan. And then here's the FY25 budget by council priority. So it's important to recognize that while these percentages may vary from fiscal year to fiscal year, we've structured the budget to ensure that each of council's priorities receives the attention and resources necessary to make meaningful progress. So again, public safety and engagement is our number one, 37%. Followed, by recreation, open space, and sustainability, 33%. 14% is neighborhoods and affordable housing, mobility and transportation, 15%, and then economic development is 2%, as we are launching our economic development corporation. I like that. Well, look at Sam.
Are we
So,
ask questions now? Just quick point of information.
Yes.
On this pie chart, it's a great pie chart. I just want to make sure I'm understanding something accurately. Mobility and transportation, as well as recreation, open space, and sustainability, as well as a sliver of public safety and engagement, all can draw on a portion of tourism tax revenue, correct? In other words, public safety, for example, CPD
Correct.
police officers, recreation, open space, and sustainability, obviously our parks, Unity Park, mobility and transportation,
correct.
trolley service, those draw from tourism tax. The only, as a portion of them, the only tourism tax that we can touch for affordable housing in neighborhoods at this point is just affordable housing, is the accommodations tax at a very limited percent of
At
15%.
15%.
Okay, good. And we are doing that in full.
Those are
Okay, thanks.
both included in full in our FY25 budget.
Thank you.
And if it exceeds, if what we receive and, accommodations tax exceeds that, we will keep it at the 15% allowable level.
Other than that, it relies on the general fund.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I should say workforce housing.
Right.
Rather than affordable. So. Next slide. Again, here's where we are. I had put a check mark thinking that the city manager's state of the city was going to come prior to the public hearing, so I was a bit presumptuous, but overall, the next steps as we continue to target the adoption of the FY25 operating and capital budget on May 20th. As we move forward, please let me know if you have any questions or concerns so that they can be considered prior to final adoption. So, any discussion or closing of the public hearing? I don't know.
I'll simply say thank you for the thoroughness of the process that we've seen over the period, but I would say weeks, but I know the reality of it's going back to the fall when the staff began its work, going through the retreat, going through the workshops. I mean, it's just a very thorough and critically important exercise that, was it Ragu or Prego? It's in there. I mean, everything that matters to City of Greenville, you find in here intentionally. So thank you for ensuring that. And which is, I think one of those.
It's Prego.
Google that.
Or Ragu.
And I think it's also important to note, I don't know if this is the time to note it, but we remain the only city in South Carolina that is AAA.
That's correct. That's correct. And so it is the budget is always about balancing, being fiscally responsible and accountable, and then balancing our services and delivery. So, I mean, it is quite it's not as easy as just writing in a line item.
Hey, to that point, speaking of only, on the use of accommodations tax for affordable, and I bring this out because I think there are probably some goal members still here, a few left that helped advocate to get that Senate bill across the finish line and made into law. How many municipalities are we aware of that are actually using that, implementing that in their budget? That might be a question for Shannon. Have we looked into how many of the municipalities in the state are actually using the tool?
Yes, 5.
5.
So one of 5.
One of 5. Are the others, are any of the, none of the others I don't think are doing it in Greenville County yet. They probably don't.
No, they're all coastal cities.
And we have over 270 cities in the state of South Carolina.
I think
271. So we're one of 5. 5 out of 271 are actually using some accommodations tax for affordable housing, and we're one of those.
Well, the truth is, other than Charleston, no other city in South Carolina really has an affordable housing budget to speak of at all. There is no such thing in Columbia or other cities.
The only ones that we reached out to the municipal association on this very question, and the only ones who are talking about using it or doing the same thing we are with that source of funding are the cities of Mount Pleasant, Charleston, Hilton Head, and Bluffton.
Yeah. Hilton has what started.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in the upstate, we are the only ones that we're aware of and that the municipal association's aware of.
Yeah, I think my point was we didn't have to. But this council chose to, in fact, proactively, before the bill was even passed, we earmarked it last year in case it passed. So thank y'all to council, because there are plenty of other demands on that tourism tax money, accommodations tax money. We heard from the grant committees today. They would have loved to have had that. So I really appreciate everybody's support on that.
Okay. Mr. Manager, you going to say anything about the budget? Do you want to emphasize anything before we?
Mr. Mayor, I think that the budget definitely takes into account your priorities. I think that there has been a diligent effort on our part to make sure that each of you all, that your priorities that you discussed with us during the retreat, that your priorities were addressed, that we are responding to your constituents' request equitably, and throughout the entire community. And we, really remembering and going back to everything that we're doing, to Greenville 2040, where we defined our values, where we defined what our priorities would be to implement Greenville 2040. And then what do we want to continue to budget? And then what are we needing to do in the future to budget to be able to meet the priorities of Greenville 2040? And that's your little sneak peek of state of the city. Because
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Patricia.
Yes, this budget cycle has been intentional to align the finances with the priorities of council that were established through Greenville 2040.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, so that, I think that I'm really excited to share with y'all next week in one opportunity, a comprehensive review of just all of the things that the city of Greenville is accomplishing. And yes, there's a lot with affordable housing. And I think, what excites me is that we're not stopping at just looking at money. There's a lot of creative approaches that we're trying to take. And, I can't wait to share with you some of the feedback that I've received on those creative approaches as part of the state of the city. But there's other things that we're, focusing on that support affordable housing in different ways. And one of those is obviously a reminder of our Section 108 loan and the $5 million that we're going to be investing over the next year in sidewalks and special emphasis neighborhoods that support affordable housing. The $9.82 million in the NIB that are going to sidewalks throughout the community that support housing and transit. And because it all works together. You can't have one without the other. They all have to align. That we're increasing funding for GreenLink so that we can see select routes go to increased frequency. And so there's a lot of fun things that are in the budget if you really look at the budget. And then there's a lot of fun things that are going to be in the state of the city. For example, where are we going to put our priorities next year in terms of items such as public safety? Well, we've already publicly announced, and it's in our budget, that we're going to build a new fire station on Stone Avenue. But there's also some other fun things that we will be doing as part of the budget that includes things such as, putting money aside to design a skate park. What are we going to, and a lot of things that I don't want to take all of the fun away from the state of the city, but I think that our staff is really working hard to be creative as to how we can respond to our community. And I'm excited about the things that we are trying to do that are, really show our commitment and our passion to this community. I think that I just am in awe every day at the ideas that get sent to me from our staff of the things that we're trying to do to really stretch those resources and to put them to the best use that we can. And I think this budget is a reflection of that. And I'm really proud of this budget. Not only is it my first budget as your city manager, which, quite frankly, I think one of the boldest moves y'all made and is in the state of the city was making me your city manager. I'm an untested city manager. That took a lot of guts. And so I have a lot of ownership in this budget, and I have a lot of pride in this budget. But the most things I have are the pride and the work that the staff brings and delivers every day, because it's so creative on these very issues that you'll see in the budget, which is really exciting about this budget. I think it's a great budget. And when you talk about the words like resourceful, bold, courageous, inclusive, I think you see that in this budget.
And I would use the word intentionality, and I appreciate Shannon, when I work with you, it's so good to have somebody who not only understands what the priorities of this city this council would be, but also the way we can be created to be very intentional about achieving those goals. We don't just say, oh, we're going to do this. There's a reason for everything we're doing, and we think we're spending the money in the most effective way to accomplish the goals that we set out.
And I'd like to say, I've been on council over 40 years. There are some streets in my neighborhood have never been resurfaced. Have never been resurfaced. And see them resurfaced? That's what this budget means to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of the public hearing. Historic Review Board, who has that?
I have that. And so now that we're at the point where this is the reason you all came to this meeting.
I'm going to gavel you down if you don't.
I'd like to recommend the appointment of Aaron Arnett for an unexpired term on the Historic Review Board ending on April 30th, 2025, and the appointment of Anthony Tiberia for a 2-year term beginning May 1, 2024, and ending April 30th, 2026.
Okay, nomination made. Are there a second?
Second.
Any other nominees? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Consent agenda. Who has a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Fleming.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Brazington. Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. Moving to the regular agenda, 15A, first reading.
An ordinance to appropriate $51,307,224 for the fiscal year 2024-25 capital budget from the fiscal year 25-29 capital improvement program.
So moved.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Fleming.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. Thank you. 15B.
An ordinance to provide for the adoption of a city operating budget, its execution and effect for the fiscal period July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember DeWorke.
Aye.
Councilmember Fleming.
Aye.
Councilmember Gibson.
Aye.
Councilmember Stahl.
Aye.
Councilmember Dow.
Aye.
Mayor White.
Aye. Thank you. Resolution 16A.
A resolution to provide for certain certifications regarding an abandoned building and an abandoned building site according to SC Code annotated section 12-67-100 located at 159-167 Welborn Street.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion on that one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 16B.
A resolution to provide for certain certifications regarding an abandoned building and abandoned building site according to SC Section 12-6-100 located at 157 Welborn Street.
So moved.
I have a quick question.
Motion and second.
Was the
Okay,
first
question.
one 16A? It's either A or B. One of these is where we're doing the Unity Park Maintenance Facility, correct?
I don't think, one's a brick building and one's a blue building.
The brick building is the maintenance facility, I believe.
Yeah. The blue.
Seven at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
And I commend our project management office for taking that, and it was not in good shape, and it's looking beautiful. But we'll talk more about that in the state of the
But
city.
it certainly was abandoned, and it certainly was
It
there.
certainly was abandoned, that's
And
for
was
sure.
there in place, ergo should have that
Yes.
certification.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 16C.
A resolution to accept the dedication of 10.31 acres of public right-of-way from SHF Verde LLC and to accept the newly constructed streets in the Bellhaven Village at Hollingsworth Park subdivision into the city street system.
So moved.
Quick
Motion-
question, I
motion
apologize.
second.
Second. And
Bill.
Clint, do we already have the rest of Algonquin and Broadwell? So you see the carve out there?
Yes.
Do we already have those?
Yeah, that's what the original road was.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Algonquin was previously a
Okay, all
cul-de-sac.
right. Okay, good.
Used to stop there. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 16D.
A resolution to identify priority areas of focus for use of the City of Greenville Tree Fund.
So moved.
Second, and I'm going to slow this one down
Everybody
too.
aye.
Hold it.
Uh-huh.
This also includes, Tara does it not, using 20% of the tree fund money for planting to support affordable housing developments.
That is correct.
In the fine print.
Yes.
And our tree fund is plentiful, 20% is a big commitment.
Yep.
Thank you, that's my only
Yeah,
question.
all of our philos, all of our set-asides have an aspect now that we're dedicated to affordable housing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Anything else you want to say at the end?
I just want to congratulate our staff on a fantastic Artist Fair weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what this says about us, but apparently our beverage sales, the beverage sales broke records. But it was John. But I just want to really thank, it takes an entire team of staff members to make an event like that happen. And obviously the great work of the Artist Fair Board and Carrie and all the work that Henry and that they do. Of course, our new piece of art, if you haven't seen it, that's over in front of the Camperdown Plaza that they dedicated to the City of Greenville. But there's a huge amount of our staff that work weekend tirelessly. And we're here all weekend long to ensure that it was a great weekend for the entire community. And so I thank y'all. I thank all of y'all for doing that.
Everything you see except the art is the City of Greenville logistics team, which is an amazing thing to be held. And of course, public safety is paramount. And we had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, but another safe weekend as well. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
And I want to note that Greenville's featured in The Economist magazine due to a good work of Beth Brotherton and Sam Conduras. We got that together. A reporter came last week to write a story about startup entrepreneurial activity in Greenville, South Carolina. It now will appear in The Economist. Just now, so get your copy. And, that was a good one for us. All righty, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
11:16 p.m.